We're on the road to, what's the name of the capital of the Zareeb?
Alula.
Alula.
And you were just in Thukba, where the festival of the seventh moon was cancelled.
Yes, the no fun police were there. Right. They're a force after my own heart.
Yeah. Wait, so you guys got away with the box?
We've had the box.
They got
now.
away from the city
We
with
got
the
away
box.
from we haven't opened it. We're not supposed to.
But the other guy opened it.
No one's opened. As far as we can tell, no one has opened it.
Didn't you say when he was in the ship he opened the box and looked at it and then closed it and went away?
No, he opened a chest that had the box in it and took the box out. So the box has no visible means of
fighting
opening
anything in that other city.
No. There was the giant scorpion, but we didn't fight that.
And I think even this session they sending Kalinar again, and his only real instruction was, "Don't open the box."
He seems very insistent about that.
If they open he said that if they open the box, the box is scribe proof. As soon as they open the box, everyone who's after the box will immediately know and come kill them instantly. That's what Kalinar said.
So anyway. Oh, I bet it's a bomb that goes off when you open the box, and he wants it to be opened in Allen Way, because screw Allen Way. Anyway, no. So the box actually didn't come up at all this session, because we're cruising along nicely, and everything's going awesome. But yeah, Alula, the capital of the Zareeb. We went there. Unfortunately, we didn't get there in time for their festival, so the festival was over when we got there. And instead, it was just a normal, big city. Let's spend a day in the big city, shop around a bit. Well, even though we didn't need to do any shopping, I don't think we'd already done some of that. The people, the traders who'd come to Thukba was the name, for the festival, and then the festival was canceled. It was a real buyer's market out there because they were streaming out of the city with all their wares that they had hoped to sell. And so we were able to buy stuff off of them. So that was pretty good. But yeah, we got to Alula. And how did this go? Yeah, there was a ton of stuff, and I'm trying to remember what order it all happened in.
The gnome, first thing, as they were entering, they met a gnome on the road.
There was
a gnome. Don't go through the city. Come around to the side. You don't want to trust any of the merchants in the city. Come with me. Yeah. Come to the side. If you want to cross across the shallow sea, I have the way you can travel in style. And, he was kind of...
Yeah.
He seemed kind of like a shady salesman, and most people ignored him, but Serendipity stayed behind.
Ben Goldstrider, the butcher.
And he said... essentially, after talking to him for a while, he said, you can come across on style. Imagine being carried on a platform... carried by four nameless, heads barely above the water as they carry you across. Mm-hmm. And the gnomes are kind of divided, and the nameless are gnomes that have lost their name and they're considered nothing. They're like casteless, they're worthless. And some gnomes basically use them as slave labor, whereas other gnomes deny that they exist at all. Like, they don't even exist. And Serendipity is of the non-existence party. And so she, just in a perfect gnomish snub, was like, you expect me to believe that you're going to carry me across on something that doesn't even exist? And she just walked off with this, as is appropriate for gnomes to snub each other like that. So
yeah, and the rest of us were just dismayed and disgruntled that you're a slaver essentially.
So elitist.
Yeah. Yeah, Cricket was particularly Cricket had already walked off, hadn't she?
Yeah, everyone had walked off.
No, I think Cricket and Aurora went off ahead. I remember.
Yeah, Cricket and Aurora went off ahead because they didn't believe this guy.
Yeah.
And I remember too, because Shannon was like, "What do I say to this guy?" And Tim was like, "You should snub him like this." Da da da. He's like, "Oh, you should be playing Serendipity."
So yeah, they snubbed him.
Then there was a bunch of guys selling stuff. There was just merchants coming up to them. You buy this.
Honors doses.
Free friend. I will make a special price. Whatever. And
guaranteed not to break.
Yeah. Yeah, I did say this, just imagine, this is the palace city too, so just imagine the city from Aladdin. That's exactly what it looks like. It's a gigantic, oversized palace in this big Arabian-style city.
The slums surrounding it.
So eventually, we pushed through all these shady salesmen that were trying to sell
not before Cricket got some some music note anklets.
Oh right.
For her hooves.
Yes. Cricket didn't buy them. Was it? It was no. I think it was Aurora that bought them.
Aurora and Serendipity bought them
Yeah.
together as a
Yeah.
gift for Cricket.
They wanted to decorate Cricket up.
Yeah.
It was a gift for your first kill.
So
That was a long
what are
time
they?
ago. There's these little anklets or something that have like silver bangles on them in the shape of musical notes or something. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. It's,
And Croesus bought some jewelry too.
yes, Croesus is.
He went to some place that sold the
little bit.
cheapest, crappiest kind of costume jewelry, fake stuff, and he got a whole bunch of little shiny things, and he put them all over his face, all over his like
He bedazzled his
like
face,
especially like the
so-
because his
Yeah.
remember last session he looked in the mirror and saw that he was all disfigured and was really upset by that, so
Yeah.
he put all this stuff all over his disfigurement,
Why is
and
it
then
dis-
and like looked at it and was just so happy with
Yeah.
happy with himself. So now he just has like horrible crappy jewelry all over his face.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
How did he get figured?
We don't know.
We don't know, but Oblin are always very symmetrical and perfect looking, and he's very
He's
Well,
messed up.
two
asymmetrical.
of us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I assume Tim knows.
Yes, Tim knows.
Yes.
And
Anyway.
Mika knows. I don't even remember how Mika
Yeah.
knows, but he somehow read Tim's email. I must have sent it to him or something.
Yeah.
So
But anyway,
I must have.
yeah, he's Croesus has been sort of trickling out the story over the course of the campaign, and Cricket is definitely not one to pry. So it's whatever rate he trickles it out is what Cricket will find out. So anyway, yeah, they decorated Cricket. It's the weirdest thing.
And crisis.
Yeah, and Croesus. And then we went to an inn to get a room, and that didn't go well.
Well, getting the room went well, but while they were getting the room,
Yeah.
Hank was being impeded by watermelon sales.
Oh, right.
Well, I thought I was originally playing it as a man, but then they thought it was a woman. And I thought, oh, that's actually better. So,
Yeah.
Hank was just going randomly shopping. That's what he said he was doing. And at one point, I was playing this watermelon salesman, like, get this watermelon, it's huge, and I was going on and on and on. Doesn't really retell well, but it was
Yeah.
a lengthy interaction with this watermelon saleswoman, and he rejected it and went on. But eventually, he actually came back and bought this watermelon, and he paid the price, and then she gave him the smaller watermelon, and he was like, "What's up with that?" So she's like, "Okay, for you, my friend, I will give you the full watermelon." And so she gave him the full watermelon. He's like, "You know what? I'm just gonna smash this."
Oh, no.
So he goes to the center of the square and it's like, "All right, gather around." Puts down his hat. "All right, gather around. Anyone who want to see me smash this watermelon?" And so he paid 4 coppers for it. And so he picks up this huge, oversized watermelon, just smashes it on the ground.
He uses his hammer.
Oh yeah, and then
He
smashed it with
Gallaghered
his
He
hammer.
Gallaghered it.
And it goes everywhere. And so people were like, "Huh." Cool, walked away. A couple of people threw coppers in his hat, so he got 2 coppers out of it. So
Yeah.
net loss of 2. And
But
That
it
was-
established his reputation.
yeah, that was that. And he headed back to the inn. And while they were at the inn, this Zareeb woman comes up to him and is like, "Hey, are you the guy who smashed the watermelon?" And he was like, "Yeah." "Do you want some?" Takes him off his shoulder. And she's like, "Okay, sure." "You know, that was really cool. You know, do you want to come with me to there's like a big dance kind of party thing tonight?" And he's like, "Okay, can my friends come?" I'm like, "Well, I kind of just want it to be you and me." I'm like, "Well, come on, they'll be cool. They'll just come along. They won't be with us." And Cricket comes up, and then they start discussing something. Somehow the topic of Cricket comes up, and the topic that Cricket is domestic, and she's sort of owned by the party, and she does what
Yeah, she'll do what the party tells her.
and yeah, and the woman, of course, is horrified
Yeah.
because they're the descendants of the slave freers, right? And so she's kind of like, "I kind of misjudged you. Never mind." And he's like, "No, come on, it'll be fine." And they keep trying to explain it, but they're digging the hole deeper. And eventually, this big muscly guy comes up and is like, "Are these guys bothering you? I hear what they're talking about. I think you guys, had better leave this lady alone." And it's kind of devolving into a brawl. But they manage to defuse it, and the guy storms off. A couple minutes later, the innkeeper comes. Says, "Someone complained and reported that you guys are keeping slaves, so I think you're going to have to leave. I don't want you in my inn." And they try to argue their way out of it,
Cricket
but
kept trying to explain that she's not a slave.
and
But no one was paying attention to
That's what a
her.
slave would say.
No one was paying attention to her.
yeah. So
So
I'm not a
ironic.
slave, I don't have a soul.
so they tried to argue their way out of it, but ultimately he's like, "Look, I don't know, maybe, but I'd like you to leave. Please leave my inn.
So we got kicked out because of racism.
And it was, fairly late at this point, so they had to go to the Robbie While You Sleep Inn. Not quite, but they had to go to a crappier inn.
So yeah, we had to go to the crappy inn. But I don't think there was any incidents with that.
It just was annoying to have to find a new inn in the middle of the night. Well, not in the middle of the night, but evening.
Yeah.
After supper.
So the next morning then, we want to cross the shallow sea. And so we go down to the dock. I guess they'd be called docks.
Yeah, I called them that.
For one of these amphibious caravans that goes across the shallow sea. And we're checking out, the various groups that are there to go. There's a group of Ponan that are running one of these caravans. And they try and convince us that they're the best ones to go with. But then...
And there's a bunch more gnomes selling nameless versions for way cheaper than the guy on the road.
Crappy gnomes. Bunch of slavers. Should kick him out of the inn. Anyway.
How did the gnomes get allowed in the inn?
They probably don't.
Yeah.
The gnomes and the Zareeb don't get along very well, but there's a few gnomes here along the shallow sea because the caravans often cross here. They don't get along, but they,
Yeah. And so after a little bit of haggling around and stuff like that, Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malor, Slayer of the Butcher of Breckenridge and Topper of Towers, suddenly remembers, oh hey, I got a new ritual, Eagle's Flight. I'm going to sum up a bunch of giant eagles and go throw the box into Mount Doom. It'll be awesome.
a Ponan comes up behind them. I think it was light blue. Comes up behind them and says, I couldn't help overhearing you say you were going to use some kind of flying thing. I advise against it. It's really dangerous. The Sun Morag, the dragons, they attack anything flying from the sky. Dozens die every year from it. It's super dangerous. I highly recommend against flight to get over the shallow sea.
You should instead use our service.
You should instead use our service. It'll be much better.
And he was basically just trying to drum up business. We didn't believe him.
Yeah. It wasn't that he was straight up lying, but he was
his name
exaggerating.
No, he's light blue. John wouldn't go and just stick existing characters into the setting with their names filed off. That's such a lame and lazy way of doing character creation.
Shame I never heard from Rip Roar again.
I'm sure he's in the box. Anyway, so yeah, ultimately we decided to make our own way and not go with any of these caravans. Serendipity, Van Goldstrider, Morslayer, the Butcher of Breckenridge, and Doppler of Towers. Oh yes, that's another thing. Cricket found out that it is proper to address gnomes who are your social superior with all kinds of honorifics and stuff ahead of their name. So throughout this session, Cricket started calling her like the magnificent and wonderful Serendipity Van Goldstrider, Malor Slayer of the Butcher of Breckenridge and Top of the Towers. I believe at one point she called her bountiful, and I don't know if that went over particularly well. At one point I called her the great and powerful Serendipity Van Goldstrider, Malor Slayer of the Butcher of Breckenridge and Top of the Towers. So anyway, it's getting longer. Even when she's not explicitly adding anything. So anyway, Serendipity, Van Goldstrider, Malor Slayer of the Butcher of Breckenridge, Top of the Towers.
She did make it clear that Cricket only should do that in public. When they're in private, she doesn't have to do that. But when they're in public, being addressed before people that might see.
making
The
this
full
stuff up.
length name or the magnificent?
The magnificentness. The full-length name, of course, all the time, everywhere.
The full name, she did say her friends could just call her Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malor for short. They don't have to use the full name. But she asked if Cricket, even though she's her friend, wouldn't mind doing it.
Yeah.
Anywhere. The full thing.
So, we got some giant eagles. They're actually like ghost eagles or something. They're not. They're visibly not real, I believe. Right?
Close to eagle spirits.
Yeah.
I think they're like. I think Shannon described them as being super colorful. So They're like magical eagles.
And we calculated out, I think it would take us 3 days to get across the shallow sea by eagle flight or something like that. 2 days.
It depends
Anyway.
on how well the ritual goes.
Yeah. Well, she did the most poorly that she could, so it was going to be a short trip for the first day. And so we wound up, at the end of the day, landing at a platform in the middle of the shallow sea where there's a little inn that's run by a mire maid. Or mire man.
And there are a bunch of these throughout. They flew over several
Yeah.
of them. Like they're spaced about a day's journey apart. These platforms with inns on them.
So we go into this mire man's inn, and he's like super timid and frightened and all like, oh geez, oh dear, like that. So right off the bat, we can tell something's up with this guy. There's something going on here. It could just be that, you know, he's crazy timid, but more likely there's something. So we get some rooms, and we go to settle down for the night. And I think we actually we left someone on watch, essentially, right? Someone stayed up. I'm trying to remember how this went. No?
Aurora diplomatized him. Aurora was very nice to him.
Right, the note.
And he was like,
Right,
and she said,
the note.
we're powerful adventurers. We can help you. And he's like, let me just make up your bill. And he goes into the room, makes up this bill.
Yeah.
Hands it to her, and she starts reading it aloud. He's like, no, don't read the bill aloud. It's considered rude among mire maids to read the bill aloud. But the bill says, the amount of the inn, and then it says, please be awake at midnight and in the common room. Please help me. And
Yeah, that's why we did it. So yeah, we get up around midnight, we gear up, we go down to the commons room, all quiet like. We don't know exactly what's going on, but
Something's fishy.
yeah, but shame.
Well, you couldn't say something was afoot.
Anyway, so we gear up, we go down. There's people sleeping in the
back in the front of the room.
in the common room. The people that couldn't afford, rooms of their own.
And the party stealthily comes in there and everyone, of course, wakes up and turns over and grabs their possessions more tightly because especially Aurora really did poorly, so everyone hears them there, but
Yeah.
they
Cricket's
just seem
doing
to be
awesome,
sleeping.
but
And
whenever Cricket goes stealthing, the whole party follows right along behind her. Anyway, story of her life. So we go and listen at the door to the outside because we hear that there's stuff going on outside.
Hank can hear it perfectly because he has his dog ears. And there's a whispered conversation going on outside, and someone. Yeah, but you know, it's good.
That's true.
And he hears someone whisper, "So you're gonna make the deal again this year?" And the innkeeper says yes. And then they hear a bunch of whispered voices saying, "We're here for blood. We're here for blood." And the doors open, and a kind of a blob of silty mud with a bubble of water around it comes through the door saying, "We're here for blood," and points at Hank who's at the door. "We're here for your blood."
I smashed a watermelon today. Big red gooey pieces flying all over the place. And it's just really satisfying. I mean, it's not much different than smashing heads. You still get the same big red gooey pieces flying all over the place. But this time people were watching and they enjoyed it.
We're gonna start with the watermelon. Then we're gonna go to the pineapple, which isn't as good. It's too hard. It's too hard.
Yeah.
You see this bullshit? You don't want that.
Okay, what's
This
this?
one's not gonna work too good either. It's some kind of yellow thing with So you
just hit
see,
me in the
it's really
chest.
the more watery thing
All right,
works better.
all right,
Watermelon and cottage cheese. But
No, I don't want the cottage cheese.
We're going to take the top
No, I don't
off
want the
of it.
cottage
Well, we
cheese.
actually don't need
No.
in the package. Now we'll do my coffee.
It's actually my coffee.
For the sound of it. Now, people think this is going to go good.
Yeah,
but
what
it
is
won't.
this?
It won't. See,
Ah,
you
see,
need half.
they ruined
half
that.
A thing.
They
you
ruined
need
that
a
one.
half a thing,
Yeah.
and it goes better. But not as good as pie.
All right, wait a minute. We
We're
can't
gonna
do the
have
pie.
some pie.
Let's not do the pie.
Now I'm going to just hit half of the pie so the other half flies out.
It's gonna shoot at me
so I'm
or
gonna
what?
hit right there.
All right, here we go. The
Ready
pie. Now we
for
got
pie.
Holy shit. You suck.
And, you know, I got my smashing out of my system, and this time when I had somebody being aggressive to me, I didn't rip his hat off. I just kind of was smug. And, you know, I just kind of egged him on. I didn't take his crap. Well, I kind of did, but, you know, knowing that I didn't let it get to me. That's what it was. And that's not something I would normally do, but it felt good. Especially when he finally got his comeuppance and he stormed away in anger. And I just had a big grin on my face and shouted, "Have a good day," and I just made him more angry, and I like that. That was good times. And there's something nice about being happy instead of mad all the time, so maybe I'll try that out. See how that goes.
Dear Diary, today when I was in the kitchen talking to Sharia, and she was teaching me how to make these really amazing pastries. Oh, they're so good. They have some kind of like pistachio flour mixed into a paste in them, and then you roll out this dough, and then you put like this buttery stuff, but you cook the butter first so it changes texture. Anyway, Sharia was telling me this, and we were laughing, and it was so fun. And I was surprised that Cricket didn't come in because it was cooking, and she seems to really enjoy cooking. But then I found out it was because they'd left. All my friends had gone out of the inn without me. And the innkeeper said that they had to leave because they were slavers and they had a slave. And I was really surprised that they had told people that Cricket was our slave. I wasn't there for that conversation, so I don't want to jump to conclusions or assume that it was Hank who did that. But yeah, I have to say I was a little bit surprised and maybe a little disappointed. I don't think that will help Cricket to realize that she's a person if people reiterate that she's not all the time. Of course, Cricket would say that she's not a person and therefore she can't be a slave because she's not a person. And either way, we're not slavers. I was feeling pretty disappointed, I guess. Then I went out and started talking to my friends, and there was a conflict going on between some other people who were in the pub who were trying to defend Cricket, which was really lovely of them. They were obviously, really concerned for her, which was wonderful. I mean, she's just a stranger to them. It was really nice. And it was great because Hank got really mad, but he didn't immediately start growling and biting and hitting and attacking and smashing with his hammer. It was amazing. He didn't just immediately do that. Oh man, if Rip Roar could see him now. I think it's the first time I've ever seen Hank angry and not hitting. Wow. So I don't know what that's about. I hope he's not sick. Oh, I hope he's okay. I better talk to him and make sure he's okay. Hank? 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 Where's Hank?
And so we progress farther and farther away from civilization on our quest to rid ourselves of this box. Oh, it's going to be so wonderful when we finally get rid of it. But I suppose, as a proper subject of the Empire, I carry civilization with me where I go. This party is becoming more like home. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. We're making progress in so many levels. We're crossing now the shallow sea. Beyond that, there's the lands of the gnomes. I have come to know a very civilized gnome. Perhaps they are more civilized than the stories that I have read and the textbooks, the histories. We'll see. And beyond that, the elven city, Allenway. Of course, I can't tell anyone that yet, but it's not much farther. And then we'll be rid of this box. Freedom. Yes. Yes, my masters will be free. It'll be a wonderful thing.
Sometimes I really wish that this dream was real, because we were flying far, far away from the world with the wind whistling all around me, and underneath me was a giant eagle. And I felt so free. It was like all the way on the ground, which stretched for miles around me. Down there were all the worries and the problems and the promises that I've been carrying for so long. And I was just up there, and around me were all my weird and wacky friends, and it just felt so good to be with them, and just with them, far away from it all, 'cause I don't know, it's not a very oblong thing for me to be saying, and I just felt really like myself, you know. I just wish Stacia was there.
So we've decked Cricket up all nice and pretty, at least her hooves. We need to find some kind of ornament. She needs to be worthy of being the, the herald. She needs to be worthy of being my herald, going forth. And I do like how she's saying the glorious and the benevolent, and I don't think she actually said that one, but good things before my name. It's so nice. I feel so good. And I think we really made an impression when we left the town. It was great. It was been a very good day. It's just like we went on Eagles, and everybody was watching us, and we just sat on the Eagles, and they flew all majestically, and people will be talking about this for years, and it'll be great. What a good thing to make a good name for ourselves. And met an unsavory gnome. He deals with imaginary slaves. Ugh. What a horrible man. I'll just pretend he doesn't exist. I'll just ignore him. I won't even think about it. Oh.